Today we are going to talk about solving multi-step equations, including equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. Our first step is going to be to simplify each side using our algebraic properties. So first we do any distribution and combining of like terms on the same side of the equals. Then we look to see where our variables are. If we have variables on both sides, we're going to move the variables to one side using addition or subtraction. And then we are going to isolate the variable using the properties of equality. So first we're going to do any addition and subtraction that we need to do, and then we're going to do any multiplication or division. Then of course we can always check our answer by plugging it in. So let's look at this example here. 5 times x plus 2 in parentheses equals negative 3x minus 6. You'll notice that the first thing that we do is distribute the 5. So the first thing is 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 2 is 10. That's the simplifying on both sides. There's no like terms to finish combining, and there's no distributing or like terms on this side. Now we have an x on the right side and an x on the left side. So we're going to get it to one side. We're going to do that by doing the inverse operation here. So this is a negative 3x. We're going to add 3x to both sides. And then we're going to isolate that variable. So first we're going to take care of this plus 10 by subtracting 10. And then we're going to divide by 8. Let's take a look at our examples here. So our first example, step 1, simplify each side. I don't need to do anything there because I have no distribution, no like terms. Step 2, move the variable to one side. I don't need to do anything there because I only have the one x, the 9x on the left side. Step 3, isolate the variable. First use your addition and subtraction. So here's my variable. So I need to get rid of this minus 7 by adding 7 to both sides. I get 0. And then dividing by 9. So I get x equals 0 divided by 9, which is 0. I can plug in to check my answer. So 9 times 0 minus 7 equals negative 7. So 0 minus 7 equals negative 7, which does give me a true statement. And again, that was just me checking my answer. Okay, let's look at number 2. So again, in number 2, I don't need to simplify either side because I've got no parentheses for distribution, and I've got no like terms together on one side. Now I'm going to move the variable to one side. So again, here this plus 2 is, I don't need to move the variable to one side. I only have the one variable. Now I'm going to isolate my variable. So this plus 2, I need to get rid of by subtracting 2 from both sides. And then don't let that fraction scare you. It's division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. So I get a equals 16. And again, I can pretty quickly check my answer by plugging it in. So I get 6 equals 16 over 4 plus 2. So 6 equals 16 divided by 4 is 4 plus 2. That's a true statement, so I know I did it correctly. Let's look at some that are a little bit more interesting. So in each of these, I do have to simplify each side. And I know I need to simplify each side simply because there's parentheses, so I know I can distribute. So I'm going to start in number 3 by distributing my negative 3. So negative 3 times 4r is negative 12r. Negative 3 times a negative 8 is a positive 24. Nothing to simplify on the right-hand side. I only have the one variable, so I don't need to move it to one side. So now I just need to isolate the r. So first I'm going to take care of this plus 24 by subtracting 24 from both sides. Signs are the same, so I add and keep the sign. Be careful with your positives and negatives there. Then this is negative 12 times r. The opposite of multiplying by negative 12 is dividing by negative 12. So I get r equals a positive 5. Again, I can check my answer. Negative 3 times 4 times 5 minus 8. Do inside my parentheses first, so 20 minus 8. So I get negative 3 times 12 equals negative 36. And that is a true statement, so I can be sure that I did the problem correctly. Okay, number 4. So in number 4, I have the distributing to do, and then it looks like I'm also going to have some like terms to combine. I'm going to start with the distributing because distributing is multiplication and that comes before addition or subtraction. So I have distributing that needs to happen on both sides. So I'm going to get negative 10n plus 3 times 8 is 24 plus 3 times 8n is 24n. I'm going to go ahead and distribute on the right-hand side as well. Negative 6 times n is negative 6n. Negative 6 times negative 4 is a positive 24. Combining my like terms on this side, since they're on the same side, I can just go ahead and combine them. So that's going to give me 14n. Negative 10 plus 24, signs are different, so I subtract and keep the sign of the larger. Now both sides are simplified. I don't have any distribution to do. I don't have any combining of like terms. So now I am going to get my variables together on one side by using my inverse operations. So to get rid of the negative 6n, I'm going to add 6n. And it looks like I'm going to get 0 again. I can see that because now when I subtract this 24 from both sides, I get 20n equals 0. And dividing by 20, once again, I get n equals 0. I didn't do that on purpose. Does make it easier to check. So I'm going to come just right above it and check it. So I'm going to plug in 0, so negative 10 times 0 plus 3 times 8 plus 8 times 0 equals negative 6 times 0 minus 4. So this is 0 plus 3 times 8 plus 0, which is 8, equals negative 6 times negative 4. So I get 24 equals 24. So I know that I did it correctly. And that was just my little check.